All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the National Weather Service Peachtree City, Atlanta office's special weather briefing. I'm Sid King, and today we'll be discussing the potential for severe weather throughout the day on Thursday. So the main points we're going to discuss is the potential for severe weather throughout the day on Thursday. The highest risk for severe weather that we're anticipating is going to be along and south of I-20, where there is an enhanced risk for severe weather. We're going to be looking at two possible rounds of severe thunderstorms throughout the day tomorrow. The first is going to be a line of strong to severe thunderstorms with the potential to produce widespread wind damage across the morning and early afternoon hours across the area. The second round is going to be in the later part of the day, where severe storms, possibly supercellular in nature, will be capable of producing tornadoes, hail, and also damaging wind in the late afternoon and during the evening. The primary impacts with the severe weather tomorrow are going to be tornadoes, a few of which could be strong and have long tracks, damaging wind gusts, which could bring down trees and power lines, and also hail, about 1 inch or so in diameter, primarily across West Georgia. Finally, heavy rainfall will lead to the potential for flash flooding and river flooding concerns. So here's a look at our SPC outlook tomorrow. Keep in mind before we get into it that this is subject to change with later forecasts. We have an enhanced risk, a level 3 risk, diagnosed along and south of the I-20 corridor, and a slight risk, a level 2 out of 5, over much of far north Georgia. The timing tomorrow is going to be the first round is going to be in the morning hours and early afternoon, followed by a little bit of a break, and then the second round late afternoon into the evening. Here's a look at our damaging wind risk. The highest probability, once again, is along and south of I-20. We're going to be looking at wind gusts about 60 to 70 miles per hour possible. These could bring down trees and power lines, with the highest risk, of course, being down here in central Georgia, the southern part of our forecast area. Our tornado risk, our highest probability here is over central Georgia. We have a hatched area here. You can see the hatches here in light blue. That designates the risk of a quote unquote significant tornado event. We could have a few strong long track tornadoes that are favored to occur within this area. And then there's the hail risk. The highest probability for hail looks like it's going to be over portions of west and central Georgia. Large hail just over about 1 inch or so in diameter, especially in this western portion of the area, is favored during the later part of the day. We're going to change gears here for just a second. We're going to talk about the potential timing of some of the thunderstorms tomorrow. And I know that's where some of the difficulty of the forecast is coming, but we're going to do our best to walk through it and go step by step through the day tomorrow. The first part of the day, here's an image of simulated radar reflectivity for tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. We're going to be looking at an initial line of strong to severe thunderstorms pushing through the area. With this line, as it passes through, damaging winds will be the primary concern associated with this line. Tornado threat will be low, but not entirely impossible as the line moves through the area. This is a look at simulated at 11 a.m. tomorrow. You can see that it's going to be pushing to the southeast. We're anticipating these risks to remain consistent through the morning hours. By about early mid-afternoon, the line of storms is going to quickly push into east central Georgia before exiting the forecast area. Damaging winds and heavy rain will still be possible as it's moving through the area, but one thing that's going to be important to keep an eye on throughout the afternoon tomorrow is going to be clearing behind the line, and that could lead to warming and destabilization of the atmosphere through the afternoon. Now, of course, remember, we're in mid-April, mid to late April. This is only going to take a few hours for a worked over air mass from the storms earlier to recover and be able to support thunderstorms once again. By late afternoon, that first round of storms will be clearing out of the area. Warming and destabilization in this clear area is going to be ongoing across most of north and central Georgia. And if you look over in Alabama, there's going to be the redevelopment of another wave of storms across south and central Alabama that's going to be approaching the area during the late afternoon. During the late afternoon and evening, there's going to be a second round of thunderstorms arriving in the area. We're generally anticipating about 5 to 8 p.m. ahead of the main cold front that's going to be driving this system. This system is going to have supercells that are capable of producing tornadoes, hail, and damaging winds. All of those are going to be a higher possibility this time around. Of course, all of this is going to be contingent upon the afternoon heating. Late Thursday night, that second round of thunderstorms is going to push into central Georgia. Once again, these supercells are going to be capable of producing tornadoes, a few of which could be strong and long track tornadoes, hail, and damaging winds. And then by early Friday morning, the severe threat is expected to come to an end after midnight as the storms push out of the area. Now, of course, one thing I want to hit on is please don't focus on the exact timing and location of one model solution. There's still plenty of uncertainty in this forecast. And of course, this representation that I showed you is just one model solution. So the timing and the position could certainly change as we get closer in time to this event. So the biggest uncertainty tomorrow is going to be the afternoon warming. A lot of uncertainty remains as to how much temperatures and dew points are going to climb between the two rounds. This is going to help determine the overall severe potential of that second round of perhaps supercellular storms in the area. The highest severe threat is going to be where the most warming and destabilization occurs. So if you look at this graph here, some of our guidance is showing that temperatures could climb back into the mid-upper 60s in central Georgia by the end of tomorrow afternoon. Dew points in this area are also expected to be high, up into the mid-60s across that area as well. So this is going to lead to a good destabilization generally along and south of the I-20 corridor. So there's our favored location during that second part of the day, which has the most instability for which those storms can work with. So that's generally our look right now on where our favored location is going to be in the later part of the day. One last thing to touch on is going to be the heavy rainfall and flooding threat. We will have a potential flash flood watch go into effect in central Georgia for Thursday. We're discussing a little bit on shift today on what we're going to do with the flash flood watch, but it's going to be likely forthcoming within the next several hours. We're going to be expecting 1 to 2 inches and locally higher amounts possible where strong storms occur. Of course, naturally, the rainfall forecast is subject to change, so don't focus in on an exact area. The WPC for most of our forecast area has diagnosed a slight risk for excessive rainfall. So isolated flash flooding concerns are possible where any stronger storms occur. As far as river flooding potential goes, we have several river forecast points in central Georgia that are forecast to reach minor to low-end moderate flood stage in the days following the heavy rainfall. Here's a website here that you can look for updated river and stream forecast information if you're ever in need of that forecast info. Our threat levels and confidence for tomorrow. Our threat levels are fairly clearly defined here. Our highest threats are expected to be both tornadoes and damaging winds, followed by rainfall and flooding. Large hail is bringing up the rear here, but it's not exactly negligible. But with it being focused across mostly West Georgia and only just a bit above severe criteria, it's a little bit lagging behind tornadoes, damaging winds, and possible flooding. Our confidence, we have higher confidence on what we're thinking the impacts are going to be tomorrow. but lower confidence overall on the timing and locations of the storms because it's going to be contingent on how the system evolves throughout the day tomorrow. But once again, our primary threats are going to be tornadoes, which could be a couple of which could be strong, long track tornadoes, damaging winds, heavy rainfall and flooding, and finally hail. So to summarize, we're going to have a potential for severe weather all throughout the day tomorrow. The highest severe risk is going to be along and south of I-20, but it's not impossible to get some severe weather north of that boundary as well. 2 possible rounds of severe thunderstorms are expected. The first will be a line of strong to severe thunderstorms with the potential to produce widespread damaging winds in the morning and early afternoon. The second round of severe storms is going to be more supercellular in nature, depending on the destabilization of the atmosphere in the afternoon. These storms could be capable of producing tornadoes, hail, and damaging winds. We expect that in the late afternoon and during the night. The primary impacts will be tornadoes, which could be strong and long track with a few of them, damaging wind gusts, which could bring down trees and power lines, and some severe criteria hail of about 1 inch or larger. Heavy rainfall will also lead to the potential for some isolated flash flooding concerns and river flooding concerns. We're going to send an additional email briefing during the overnight hours tonight to all of our partners. No additional special webinars are scheduled at this time. We will be planning to transition to our warning operations early Thursday morning, so updates can be relayed in real time during NWS chat and social media as the event is ongoing. And that concludes this special weather briefing. Here's our contact information if you ever need to get in touch with us. On behalf of all of us here at the National Weather Service in Peachtree City, we'd like to thank you all for your attention and for all that you continue to do. I will now open it up for your questions.